The sponsor of this episode is Chadwell Supply, an OG in the multifamily industry. Chadwell is the largest privately owned maintenance and repair supplier, and they deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. To find out how Chadwell Supply will make your day better, visit www.chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Welcome to Decoding Multifamily, a video podcast that explores different aspects of multifamily operations and takes a deep dive into the important topics that affect the apartment industry. Watch as co-hosts Suzanne Hopson and Paul Marks engage with multifamily thought leaders, rising multifamily superstars, and apartment industry icons. Decoding is defined as the process of extracting meaningful and useful information. So watch closely as we begin Decoding Multifamily.
Well, welcome to another episode of Decoding Multifamily, powered by the Multifamily Media Network. The Multifamily Media Network is a free media platform on a mission to inspire the next generation of multifamily leaders. We have currently over 16 different podcasters who are all practicing multifamily industry experts. Tune in to the Multifamily Media Network to listen to all the different podcasts in a range of different subjects, all having to do and pertaining to multifamily. You can also stay informed about each unique podcast. You can sign up for the weekly newsletter that comes out that tells you which podcasts are available. Also, you can get some great educational and inspiring multifamily blogs from our content creators. So tune in, get inspired, and transform your multifamily journey with us. I'm excited today. Want to introduce my great co-host, Suzanne Hopson. We've got a great guest, Suzanne. Let's talk a little bit about her and give her a chance to tell us about her journey.
Yes, very excited, Stephanie. It's really good to have you here. We had an opportunity to cross paths quite a bit lately. I feel like the universe is just making us, see each other a lot, which is really cool. Great seeing you at Blueprint last week. But just really happy to have you here with your expertise. And I'd love for you to just introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me here today. I'm really excited. So I started in the multifamily industry as a leasing associate. I saw an ad in the newspaper to do some Sunday leasing and nobody wanted to pick up the Sunday shift. And I was like, I can do that. So I started doing that and eventually became an assistant property manager, and just kind of kept moving my way up through the industry through being a regional vice president into being a director and senior director. So those roles have kind of encompassed everything from site operations to marketing, sales, innovation, technology, systems. So a little bit of a broad range of experience across the multifamily space, which has been great to be able to experience.
Yeah. And I know we had talked a little bit about, actually a lot. I've been picking your brain like crazy on all things technology and PropTech. Which leads me to my next question, which is really, what are you seeing in terms of changes in multifamily and maybe how that relates to some of the technology that we're introducing?
Yeah, so I'm seeing a real increase in the technology that we're implementing to the site teams, and that is customer facing. So what I'm seeing is we're implementing PropTech more and more into the space, and we're expecting leasing associates and site team members and hoping that they'll be experts in all of these different areas and technologies. So I'm seeing that more and more of teams being kind of on the forefront of that technology shift. And I'm seeing companies being a lot more cognizant of that. They're thinking through these implementations a lot more. They're trying to be a lot more strategic because they're realizing that the customer is highly impacted by some of these changes and decisions that they're making.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sorry, I have a tendency to jump right into anything technology, but if we could just maybe take a step back, because we want to decode you and all the things that you bring to the table. On that note, in how you came into multifamily, it's a very familiar story. I think
Yeah.
we probably hear the same answer, 98% of the time, Paul. We've had, I think, 2 guests on who
Yeah.
ran into it in a different way. How have you changed in the way that you, when you started as a leasing consultant, what have you seen change in multifamily, and how have you had to adapt?
Well, when I first started, I was responding to an ad in the newspaper. I don't think we'd be doing that anymore.
Right.
Um, so, I think it has definitely changed from, the paper guest cards. And we really didn't track closing ratios at that time. It wasn't super important. We knew our comps, but there wasn't, the high level data needs that there exists today. So, the technology and innovation piece of it has certainly shifted what those jobs even look like today being on site. When I started on property, we were, scanning checks or mailing them to the corporate office and kind of doing these other things. And more companies are kind of centralizing and shifting those responsibilities to shared services. So that is adjusting what the roles look like in the multifamily space. So I think for me, the biggest thing that has shifted has been the technology. However, I will say at the core of it, we're still people housing people. And I think we just really need to keep that in mind as we're going through this. When somebody is paying their rent, it's typically their biggest bill each month. And so it's really important that we are on our stuff for them.
You want to pick it up?
Yeah. It's, and all 3 of us attended recently the Blueprint conference in Las Vegas, which touches on all different types of real estate, but in the multifamily track that they had, PropTech technology, centralization, AI, those were all topics that when you applied for your position in the newspaper were not even on anyone's radar screen.
No.
So yes, everything has changed. And by the way, highly recommend any of our listeners to attend Blueprint next year.
Mhm.
It's in Las Vegas, and it's going to be bigger and better. So it's a great conference, and there's always got some great speakers there. I wanted to, for the benefit of our audience, Stephanie, the roles that you mentioned that you had, talk a little bit about the area of the world that those roles took place in, or what part of the country, and was it primarily, have you primarily worked in just market rate, or have you branched out into any other types of multifamily?
Yeah, great question. So I'm a Midwest girl through and through. Born and raised in Michigan, moved to the Columbus market. I currently live in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm so sorry, I lost my train of thought. What was that question?
The other question was, what areas of multifamily have you primarily worked in? Market rate, affordable?
Oh, yeah. So I have primarily worked in market rate, but I did get my start in the industry working in affordable. I worked in tax credit in some extended use properties and really got to learn that side of the business for several years before I transitioned over to market rate and conventional, which is when I was like, oh, they have way less paperwork. I love this. So started doing more market rate conventional at that point. So I've done market rates, low income, project based. I've done a little bit of student and some commercial as well.
Yeah, I'm sure student housing's big in Columbus with the university there.
Yeah, there's certainly some big players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how much easier it is to go from affordable to market than market to affordable. That's what happened to me. But you
Yeah,
are very
I'm
well versed, nonetheless.
Yeah, but I think it taught me so many things about humanity and just
Mm.
you learn so much being able to have the opportunity to work in affordable housing. And I really think that it's something that everybody should experience for even a brief time in their career, because I think it just brings you into a whole other lens. And, there's this concept of sphere of influence, and it's sort of, it just widens that sphere.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a whole different world, and it is humbling. It's also, I think it weighs in on our responsibility as people who take care of people, as you said in the beginning, regarding their housing. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And on that note, I'd love to hear, and your audience would love to hear too, because this is where our up and coming leaders really lean in.
Mhm.
Is, I'm learning from you some of your success stories, and maybe in turn some of the road rash you've experienced or potholes you've fallen into, that maybe they should avoid. But let's
Yeah.
start with the success stories.
Well, I think every success story comes from a pothole, honestly. I
I
think
love
that
it.
every time throughout my career that I have thought that I was being pulled into something that I wasn't meant for, this is what I wanted, this isn't the career, this isn't the path. And then I find out that there's something better on the other side of that pothole. So I'm learning to embrace the potholes that come through life a little bit more. And I would encourage people to do that. Early in my career, I actually was part of a sale transition. The property that I was working at and I lived at was being listed for sale. And I found out the day of the file audit. So, and it was, a long time ago. It was just done very differently in 2008, 2009. So, at the time we found out the day of the file audit, we kind of went through and we're like, okay, this is happening. Very quickly went to a close, and I was terrified. I thought my career, this is, I'm going to go find something else to do. I don't think I'll be able to find anything else that's exactly like this, because I thought I was happy where I was. And we went through that transition, and wouldn't you know, I ended up being with Dietz Property Group for 11 years. And I had the privilege of working alongside that team for over 11 years. And that never would have happened had I not just kind of pushed myself and go, I'm going to try to get them to get me to stay on the team through this transition. So what I thought was a pothole ended up helping me really grow my career. And I had the opportunity to work and grow under so many incredible leaders. So it's yes, it's potholes, but it's also finding ways to find the joy, find what's next, find out what success means for you, because what success meant for me at that time in my career versus what success means to me today is very different. And I still think even that definition of success changes day in and day out.
Yeah, so good. So good. I know a few of those people over at Dietz. Great organization.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah. I
My
love
people.
the leaning in that you talk about. I think that's a great piece of advice, because oftentimes, and I did it, earlier on in my career out of fear and of the unknown, may have not leaned into the what I call pain, because fear for me is painful. And you doing that is really, I think, a leadership quality too, that, people can emulate and really put on display for others. Just really, it's really impactful. And I would ask you this, is there someone in your life that was just a great mentor, or maybe it was someone you worked with that really made an impact on you? Did you have someone like that in your life?
Oh gosh, I've had several. I've had the opportunity to work alongside some of the best names in this industry. And I think that I take little bits of each person that I've worked with and kind of helped shape who I am today. So I think that there's certainly a ton of folks, without naming names, I'll just kind of go into the support, the coaching, honestly, just people who are there to pick up the phone and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? Or have you been in a situation similar? Sometimes it's just talking it out outside of whatever that certain scenario is. So I've certainly had several inspirational leaders, and I'm grateful when I am able to connect with them, both in real life and through different ways in our wonderful industry that we're in.
Yeah, kind of a trick question. Sorry about that. I
That's
think
okay.
why I ask it is that, there's been a lot of focus and emphasis on building your network and
Mhm,
having mentors in your life
mhm,
early on. And
mhm.
I mean, well, I still have them to this day, so I don't think it ever goes away.
Yeah.
But just the importance of that. And I don't think that was a focus way back when, either
Mhm.
when you started or it wasn't formalized. There's a lot more formal groups that you can lean into now. And, purposefully seeking out mentors. I think
Mhm.
it's an art form and it can be trained now. And I think to your point, just being able to call somebody up that's maybe not in the organization and
Mhm.
doesn't have, some tie in, isn't necessarily your boss,
Mhm.
um, can be really helpful to navigate some of those questions you don't want to ask in front of anybody else, right? You don't want to look
Yeah.
stupid or act like you don't, or don't look like you don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was just interested on your take on mentors in general. I feel more, I guess, obligated now in a great way to give
Mhm.
back, just because some of the people in my life opened doors that I wouldn't have opened myself without them. So thanks for
Oh,
sharing that.
absolutely.
I think it's important. Because a lot of times we don't ask for help.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we don't ask for help, and I think that it's really important to lean into the current technologies that we have available to us. The amount of resource that is available on LinkedIn alone is
Mhm.
just phenomenal, and people really truly do want to connect, and I think that's one of the things that makes multifamily so special. I was walking on the showroom floor at Blueprint, and one of the gentlemen who was selling his product was standing there, and he looked at me and he goes, "You've got to be in multifamily." I said, "I am. How can you tell?" And he goes, "You just got that look. Like you just." I think that we really have a strong group of people in the industry who care about others. And I think that really reflects when I go to conferences such as Blueprint and, going around, it's sort of like just a big family reunion getting to see, like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in so long. And, being able to connect with you. So I think that having leaders in the space that are willing to bring their team to conferences is critical.
Mm.
One of the things that was probably most important in propelling my career was the ability to get in those rooms, was a leader who stood up and said, "Hey, we really want to send Stephanie to go to this place, or we want to, she really should be at NAA or, a software conference." And those things and getting in front of others face to face in real life is really important. And I can tell you that the things that were brought back to any organization after going to those events, it just pays itself off tenfold with the not only the networking, but the relationship building in the industry.
Yeah.
Chadwell Supply is the proud sponsor of the Multifamily Media Network. Chadwell Supply is the largest privately owned MRO supply company and is committed to the multifamily industry. They deliver orders the next day from local warehouses across the United States. Chadwell Supply offers valuable resources such as maintenance training, a dedicated renovations team, and procurement platform assistance, ensuring multifamily properties operate more efficiently. Partnering with Chadwell Supply helps communities stand out in an increasingly competitive market. Learn more at chadwellsupply.com/difference.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. And you're absolutely right. There's so many incredible people that are just willing to, talk to you about what's going on and what they think. And I've
Mhm.
had some people come to me and just want to connect, and they're not
Yeah.
selling anything. It's really just wanting to connect to see if there's synergies or ways of working together, which
Mhm.
I also think is a different approach. I feel like than maybe we've seen in the past with the hard selling.
Yeah.
People are softening that, and I think they're really enjoying networking without selling,
Yes.
which is pretty cool. So speaking of Blueprint, since we're talking
Yeah.
about Blueprint. What was your favorite part? Did you have a favorite, or was there several? Like, what really just got your juices flowing and got you going?
So
Sure.
obviously the puppies. Were fantastic. So of course, any opportunity to like just sit on the floor and hold puppies with a group of people is fantastic. Loved that. And even better that they were available for adoption. I thought that was just a really nice touch. I really appreciated the fact that it wasn't just focused on multifamily. I loved connecting with people in the hotel industry. I really loved connecting with some venture capitalists, just being able to understand, like, how does your brain work? What do you do? What are you looking for in this industry? What are you hoping to get out of this event? Because their hopes and expectations were so different than my own. And I just think that was really neat to be able to see and explore.
Agreed. I don't think I didn't know what to expect because I haven't been to Blueprint before, but I was really just intrigued with the combination of hospitality and multifamily and then construction. Who knew that there
Yeah.
was all of this AI speak and automation going into the whole construction side of what we do? So that I found really fascinating. People were interesting. Startups are cool. I mean, they can be, right? And when you think about how many are successful as opposed to how many maybe aren't successful, they're really putting themselves out there. And, these are our inventors, the people that will probably fail a few times before they bring something across the finish line. I just thought it was really neat to see how also hospitality and multifamily are working together. I know you mentioned hospitality as well. The whole Airbnb connection and the management of that. Centralization, again, was a big topic.
Yep.
But it was different. I felt like it was different. There was some of the same, but it was also about really putting it out there, what people are doing and sharing and like giving up the gold. Did you find that too? Like people were just more concrete in what they were offering and in terms of advice or best practices?
Yeah, I think, first there were a ton of just really cool ideas. I'm so excited with this new technology. It's just amazing to sit and chat with some of these inventors. I had the opportunity to go to some of their booths and connect with them and really understand what they were bringing into the marketplace. I thought it was really interesting. I kept hearing this conversation of intellectual property, and people are becoming a lot more aware of what is it that I'm buying through this tech purchase? Whose intellectual property is it? Is it mine? Is it yours? Who does it belong to? And so I think that is going to be really pivotal going forward. And I think a lot of the success is going to be companies who are willing to go in. And this is what I kept hearing throughout the event was we're kind of redoing our entire org. We're jumping in. We have to relook at who reports to who, what positions make the most sense, because now these systems and technologies are so infiltrated into operations, HR, your marketing, even down to your service teams. Your innovation and your tech teams have to be touching them. So it's really interesting to me to see those advances and how those conversations are being shaped.
I want to steal a little bit of Suzanne's thunder and ask you a question that she always asks, which
Yeah.
is about challenges that you had on your journey in multifamily. I know you talked a little bit about potholes, but what are some major challenges that you faced specifically having to do with operating properties and that you were able to find solutions for it? Can you share some of those with our audience?
Let me think through that one for a second. I think navigating an ever-changing workforce was probably one of the biggest challenges in trying to navigate an operations team through COVID time. That was I think tough on a lot of people. Nobody knew what was going on in the world, and I think that was a time that really shaped my career because I found, just an inner grit, an inner resilience that I didn't know that I had through those years. But I think that, definitely the challenges with COVID, definitely the shift in regulations and what is required of operations teams now versus what used to be required of operations. So I think for me, specifically, it's tough without going into too much detail on specific scenarios. So I would say if somebody wants to chat more about stuff like that, we can kind of offline those. I'd be happy to be a mentor in this industry. I'm happy to help people come up with new ways to enter the industry or even figure out a way to maybe move to the next level in this space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's speaking of COVID, just putting my mind back there, I also was in a position where I had to quickly organize the troops and get everybody moving in the same direction. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was just, scared out of my mind. 100 people relying on me to know the latest and greatest. And then what you said about the teams and what was required of them, it was really difficult to watch the pressure on service. It was just, they were first responders. They were put in a whole different category than other positions. And it was very hard to navigate that. You're absolutely right. The unknown, just the climate, it kind of reminds me a little bit of right now, not COVID and now, but there's a sense of what's going to happen next, right? As we come up to the election.
Sort of like you got the hiccups. It's like, what's
yeah, there's just stuff going on right now. There's some electricity in the air and people are a little nervous.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, I will add to the things that we went through. I'll say something that really shaped my career as a leader was losing somebody who was on my team. I think, there was somebody who was on my team that passed away, and it was very unexpected. And I think that it changed me as a leader in so many ways because you have to show up differently for your team in those scenarios because it's not just, like this has happened. It was outside of work and all of that, but it shaped me in a way, showing up to that person's funeral services and seeing their business card and all of their other things. They were very proud of their work. And I think when you go through experiences like that, we realize how integral we are to each other's lives. And it forever shaped me as a leader. And it's something that I take with me in a way that if I have the opportunity to be so important in people's lives, I'm going to make sure it's a really good experience as much as I can. And that's really my mission in this industry is how can I bring light and joy and happiness to whatever situation I'm in? How can we, of course, make money for investors and of course, make sure people have great places to call home, but do so with grace and respect towards each other.
It's important. Yeah. Suzanne, both of you may have been a part of some of these, but one of the things I recall that was, in a way, I was so proud of about our industry with COVID. But then after COVID, I was sad that it didn't continue. Not COVID didn't continue, but what happened didn't continue. And I remember doing my radio show, on episodes during COVID, talking to people at major players about how they're dealing with it and so forth. And what they said in several markets, companies would get on a weekly call together and compare notes of how they were handling it, their properties and sharing solutions. And I thought the whole industry is kind of pulling together and helping each other here. And then once COVID started to wane, everybody went back to their respective sides and started firing at each other again, like a battle. And I was so sad that didn't continue because I think there's so much that people could learn from that. But it takes something like that or having someone pass that is part of our teams for us to be able to kind of reflect on those things. So, I understand.
I remember being on one of the groups, and I was so thankful. It was a leader of an apartment association, and they had all the latest and greatest legislation, and there was just access to information. NAA was really powerful during that time with, giving us tools to use with our residents and with our teams. Yeah, Paul, I do remember those times. We should probably revive some of those groups.
Yeah.
On a different, happier note to tackle new technology. Integrating technology into our operations. Let's form a group.
But I also think that COVID really forced our industry to lean into tech so much more, because how nice was it to be able to go, okay, self-guided tours, we're going to try this. We never would have pushed ourselves to do some of the things had it not been for that situation and needing to be creative and come up with new solutions. So I think, yes, COVID was very, very difficult, but I'm choosing to focus right now on kind of where that innovation brought us, which has been some really cool places in the multifamily industry.
Yeah.
Well, you overcame it, and that was the question.
Yeah.
And I think that's really worth something, especially as people navigate up the ranks or whatever their position is, because there's things that happen in our industry that are, big things and, emergencies that happen all the time. And, just having, that advice of, what do you do in those situations, and how has it impacted you? Because obviously, and I've heard you say this throughout our talk together today about people, it's very evident that that's at the forefront of what you care about. And, to hear that also had something to do in your other experience, had something to do with that, how that formed you is impactful. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah,
We got about 5 minutes left, Suzanne.
Cool. Because I want to ask the next question. I'm going to let Paul take this one. No, I'm kidding. But the next question is really around advice that you would give other people that are coming into our industry that may be new. I think often about even people that have been with our industry a couple of years, but maybe are looking at a leadership, position or, something higher like a regional position or director position. What kind of advice would you give them about succeeding in multifamily?
I would say to think of yourself as the best property you will ever work with. So what I mean by that is we spend so much time in the multifamily space. We polish our mini models, right? We go through and we make sure that it's ready. The furniture is new. Everything looks great, smells good. Everything is perfect. Think about your career in the same way. Try to take a step back and just go, okay, what do I need to do to get myself to that next level? We're so good at focusing on sales. Use that same concept for yourself. Think through, what are the things that I need to do to grow? What are the skills that I need to gather to be able to move to the next level? And I would say, determine what success means for you and try to achieve whatever that is. Because again, success for you today might be being an amazing leasing associate. And if you are, I think that is the way to go. I think that there's going to be some really cool innovation for sales and marketing positions that are going to be really cool. And continue to just be flexible through the process and be willing to learn new things, go outside of your comfort zone.
I love that. It's great advice. And I do agree with you on the sales track. I have been preaching this for a long time that, they are an equal player as a service. Like all of our customer facing people, I think we've made one role look worse than the other or less appealing than the other. And then we find ourselves in roles where we can't flourish. And sales is such a fun area of the business to be in. And it's always been kind of low on the totem pole. And so just to see it catapult and the technology that's required with it and the skill sets that we're getting now in that role, and the service role, like you talked about before, it's really making an impact on people's personal and professional development.
Absolutely.
So, and to seek that out, like you said, is definitely the way to further be successful in our industry. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I think do we have any more time?
Yeah, we have time for one more question.
Okay. So this is really about inspiration
Mhm.
and what inspires you or gets you going. We all get in a slump. There's things
Yeah.
that happen in the day to day or whatever. What do you do to just get back on track for yourself? What inspires you?
Oh, so I would say meditation has been something actually that has been huge for me. Finding ways to navigate mental health. I think, we're in September. It is Suicide Prevention Month. So, give that a shout out. I think mental health and mental wellness is so, so, so critical. So I would say that is, probably something that is the most important to me day in and day out to really focus on. Taking a moment to go, what do I want out of this? I had the benefit of sitting in on a keynote. There's a woman named Laura Ling with Novus Global. She did a speech at a conference I was at recently. She was the keynote speaker, and she was talking about max value and what is max value for me and whatever that scenario is. And I've really implemented it right away in my life because I just thought it was so fantastic. Like, what is max value? And then who do I need to be? Who do I have to show up to achieve that max value? So I would encourage people to really just think about, like, who do I need to show up to be today? Who do I need to be? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm achieving whatever max value is in my life?
That's great.
That's great.
We could do a whole other show on just that.
Probably. I'd love to.
Okay. All right. Part 2.
Yes, part 2 coming soon.
So, Stephanie, if someone wants to reach out to you, connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is a great way to get a hold of me. My email is also really easy. It is stephaniegubiotti@gmail.com. So either way, but definitely LinkedIn.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We are going to be back with another episode of Decoding Multifamily very soon. I want to remind our listeners that Decoding Multifamily is powered by the Multifamily Media Network. Go to multifamilymedianetwork.com to learn more about not only these podcasts, but also all the other podcasts and great industry blogs that the network has. So again, thank you, Stephanie. Suzanne, it's always great to see you. And we'll be back soon with another episode.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Decoding Multifamily video podcast, and please tune in to future episodes. If you would like to subscribe to our weekly newsletter or discuss being a podcast guest on Decoding Multifamily, please go to multifamilymedianetwork.com. Thank you for watching Decoding Multifamily.
Thank you again to Chadwell Supply for sponsoring this episode. Chadwell Supply delivers unforgettable service with next-day delivery, online and in-person maintenance training, and procurement platform assistance to make ordering simpler. Visit www.chadwellsupply.com/difference to learn how Chadwell Supply will make your day